from the absurd to the ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like I owe it to you to give you because he gives us such short doses. It's like a Whitman sampler of morondom. It's the Dinesh D'Souza again in another shirt his wife picked. This what is that? What are you doing? Is golf wear the uniform now? Is that like the Hawaiian shirts to the Proud Boys? If you're a maggot, you have to wear golf shirts now of like the worst kind. Where the fuck did you get that? Chess King? Ouch. All right. So this is Trump has a huge, it's spelled with a Y, Dinesh, not an H. Huge plan to deport illegal immigrants, always with the breaking news.
The lawbreakers are all here. Now, what do you do with them? And Trump's answer is simple. You declare a national emergency and you have a systematic campaign with the assistance.
Hold on, asshole. You can't declare a national emergency because of a volume of lawbreakers. They've been here the whole time. Real quick, let's just start with, before he gets to whatever the fuck his stupid ass point is. Should we jump into, let me go back into this, sorry. This is, if I may, according to, this is the number of unauthorized immigrants by state, last updated June 4th, 2024. And this is an older picture. This is from 2021. This is the overall total, 10.5 million. That was in 2021. After 25 million people crossed the border and 2 billion zillion gotaways and blah, blah, blah. What's the current number? According to the Immigration Policy Institute, current number 11,047,000. Yeah, vast majority of them, about 1 million of them, going to California during that time because California counts theirs. And so if there's a bunch of people in the country more than the number that's official, it's because Texas and other states refuse to count the people that are there on purpose to make it look like it's somebody else's problem. Now, we'll look in a minute at the volume of states and where they are and how many in just 1 second. But I would like to know that this is the current number as it's been updated. 11,047,000. That's a generalized number. 100% of them. 24% of them are in California. And they're not in Los Angeles and San Francisco and San Diego. They're in the farmland. They're in the eastern part of the state largely. Okay? They're in the smaller towns and areas. They're in Stockton. They're in Bakersfield. They're, those kind of things. They're around Barstow and Hesperia and that kind of stuff. Okay? They're not, there certainly are, I'm sure, a large number of them in Los Angeles. I'm sure there's a large number in San Diego because there's a large number of people in all those places. But the increasing number is not ending up in the greater Los Angeles area or San Francisco because the population of those places has not gone up inexorably. As a matter of fact, it's gone down slightly. So that's how we know. And it's not because the cities aren't counting them, because they're all about counting them. They don't care. Texas, on the other hand, adversarial to the idea of counting them, okay, 1.7 million. They have a full 15% of the undocumented people in the country are in Texas. So Trump could busy himself with all of those folks, like almost immediately. Just go after Texas. They're the most welcoming. Run everybody out of there and seal the border. Shut down all of Texas's economy, like on day one. Knock yourself the fuck out. Do these numbers reflect Eastern European, Irish, and European? Well, yes, they do. They reflect everybody. And I'll show you where they are, and you can kind of tell by where they gather. Okay? All right. New York, 835,000, 7.6%. That's the next highest, followed by Florida, which is almost even. Again, the red states, Texas and Florida, tend to undercount. The blue states tend to count people twice, in all honesty. Jersey is right next to New York, so it's kind of, piggybacked on there. There's Illinois with 425,000, is 3.8%. of the overall population. Georgia nipping at its heels, and a similar overall population. North Carolina, blah, blah, blah. And then you've got areas where, like Oregon has 1%. They got 100,000. Indiana has 100,000. Now, interestingly enough, New Mexico, which is a border state. Remember, every state's a border state, right? Where's New Mexico? Here it is. 63,000. I don't know what you're doing wrong, New Mexico, but apparently the Mexicans are not sticking around, or whoever's coming through there. They're bugging out as fast as they can. And it might just be because there are very little cities in there and there's a lot of empty space between them, and maybe you can't count heads properly. But at the very least, you have New Mexico has half the number of people that Indiana has, according to this. Okay, which again is under 1% of the overall people in the entire state, right? Here's Mississippi with 25,000. Delaware has 24,000, which is a big deal for, like, Rhode Island having 24,000 is a large number of people for a small state, but still not measurable. 21,000 in D.C., New Hampshire at 11,000. The smallest one being Vermont with about 3,000. And Vermont's a small state, but it's not in the, Maine is bigger, and it only has 5,000. Part of it's travel, and again, a lot of these numbers, these right here, those are Canadians and other folks. Those are visa overstays and Chinese students and shit like that. And you can tell by kind of like which border they're the closest to. Okay. Anyways, so let's take a look real quick at this map that's up here. And again, this is the 2021 version, but the proportion is nearly identical. Just add 1 million on top of this, and about, because it's 1.9 here, it was 2.7. So about 800,000 of them approximately are going to California, and the rest are kind of distributed softly everywhere. Okay. And Texas's numbers at 1.6, and they're saying hold on. Texas isn't saying it's down by then. It's up by 100,000. So they're up by 100,000 since 20, we're probably going to say 25 million people have crossed the fucking border. 2 million gotaways. They're all over the fucking place. And yet Texas is counting, by their own count, of undocumented immigrants in their own state is only up by 100,000 in a state that big. And by the way, that brings us to a number that's almost identical to the number it was when Reagan was in office. The standard 11 million we're always talking about. Just letting you know before we start this whole and again, these kind of numbers should inform you how Republicans look at fucking everything. No wonder this asshole thinks tariffs are going to get rid of the national debt. Think of the math this idiot is doing. Aren't students on visas authorized? Yes, but if they overstay them, visa overstays are technically illegal immigrants. That's the point I'm trying to make. So when they stay a day over, they suddenly go from, being legally here to not legally here, even if it's weeks. And that happens too. That's like this rotating thing that's always part of the number. It's like the unemployment numbers always have a slight slice of people who are between jobs. They're looking, but they're making a decision. They're not technically without options. They might have gotten a severance at the last place they were at, and their start benefits, or maybe they are because they got laid off, but they've got enough of a nest egg to be a little choosier the next time. Those kind of things. There's always that window. It's about half a percentage point or to a point, depending, of unemployment that is always that number. Like, you can never get to zero unemployment because there's always that just life factor. It's probably closer to 3 or 4 no matter what. But it's hard to say depending on the adults and the number of people working and the age of the population and baby boomers versus millennials and Gen Xers who are working. That's always the factor. So by percentage, who's old enough to work but has stopped working because they're retired, and still looking, though. There's those kind of factors in there, which is why you'll never get to zero, because you're not supposed to. It'd be weird. The only way you can get to zero is, I guess, forced labor camps. What's Rob Glenn saying? Because I'm sure it's smart, whatever it is. I have to scroll back to find it. Okay, somebody will put it in the staff chat, I hope, or something. My mic's going in and out? That's weird. It doesn't seem to be on my end. I can see it when I talk. My mic is fine. Depends on the site, I suppose. All right. So, if I may, Yeah, maybe reload. Yeah, it's good on Twitch. It might be a YouTube thing. You might want to reload your page. Could be. Yeah. So, anyways, Florida, about 900K in this one. Right now, they are at, what's the current thinking there? They're down, according to this. They got 772,000. This is the Migrant Policy Institute's numbers. And this is the interesting thing. This is a population profile of undocumented immigrants. And you can kind of click on each one, and they'll give you the kind of currently updated number. And again, New Mexico, 63,000. Missouri has 50,000, Illinois 425,000. That's where you've also got like Eastern Europeans and all kinds of people like that in Chicago and the outlying area. There's a bunch of that stuff. Wisconsin has 70,000, Minnesota 81,000. And then and again, they call it unauthorized population in this one, but there the estimate is 11 million. That's the realistic, actual estimate of people living unauthorized in the United States. And I think unauthorized is a great way to go. Yeah, if you're not authorized to live here, you know, you authorize you musicians, then that would be a good way to talk about it. These are unauthorized immigrants. How about that? Does that make everybody feel better without the no human is illegal, even though you can commit a crime and you can call some, you know, it's like, it's like saying no human is murder. When you call them a murderer, it's like if they committed murder, they're a murderer. It's a distinction without a difference. The point is in this situation, you can be illegally an immigrant to some place and still be a good person. You're still just doing that wrong. I think that ship has sailed, and it was an odd fight to begin with. But that said, this is we're looking at about 11 million. So I want you to know that going into this, one of the things they're going to release a number similar to this one. And go, we've got the number down from 25 million to 11 in one day. How? Well, we went from using our fantastical bullshit campaign numbers to the real numbers. It's amazing. 15 million people just fucking vanished.
Existence of the military. The use of the word military and Trump's willingness to mention.
Just throw the Constitution in a wood chipper.
This term, "terrified way," I think revealed.
Unterrified? We're not asking him to be terrified of using the term military. He should honor the Constitution. And also, you're not going to do it. He's not going to bring in the fucking army. What he means is the National Guard, which he's going to commandeer from the states. And some will do it willingly and some won't do it at all because they have the right to do that. And if they want to take away that right, fine. But I don't want to hear you fucking squawking the next time a Democrat's in office.
How firm he is about this. Now, the left is obviously moving into full gear. I see a lot of comments by these various immigration attorneys. We're ready with our lawsuits. And so there's going to be a big battle over this. They're going to file suits. The suits are going to be quickly appealed. Appellate courts are going to have to rule on this. It's going to be appealed to the Supreme.
I'm sorry. No, he said day one. I don't want to hear any bullshit. He knows exactly what he's going to do, and he's got a mandate, and the Congress is behind him 100%, and every senator in every red state wants him to roll in there with fucking trucks and army people and round up anybody this side of taupe as far as skin color. So Dinesh, I would stay indoors if I were you during the first 3 months of the presidency because they're not going to care. They're just going to start rounding people up. And if you squeal at all, I don't want to hear it.
Supreme Court. But I think the good news for Trump is that the law has been in place. The law is unchanged, and the law is on Trump's side. So all.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. You can't use the military unless there's an invasion, and you can't change the word invasion to mean fucking roofers.
All these other people are simply essentially demanding that courts delay the enforcement of existing law. And again, think about what other area of American lawbreaking would this be tolerated under? The only thing I can think of.
Well, in other areas, first of all, we don't have necessarily an asylum situation. And secondly, everywhere Trump shows up in court, apparently.
That is even roughly analogous is death penalty appeals. In other words, the guy did it. He has been fairly sentenced. His death penalty, he's supposed to be executed on a Wednesday, but you have all these appeals. Well, what if you made a mistake, and what we need to postpone it? So in that extreme case, we find that delays are normal.
Yeah, I mean, I would understand why pro-life people would be against that. Why can't we just have quick trials where we kill the person, and if we find out later they were innocent, that's just, you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs.
Enforcement is often held back because of the at least hypothetical possibility, and you don't want to be wrong in this area. But this kind of reasoning does not apply to the immigration area. But
sure it does. If you scoop up people with legitimate asylum claims and you send them back to their country and they are surreptitiously murdered or sex trafficked or forced into gang servitude, yeah, that's exactly what this is, dipshit.
Because fine, no one is talking about accidentally deporting U.S. citizens. That's really not going to happen.
It happened last time.
What might happen is, and this would actually be a very interesting tough choice, but it's not a tough choice for the law. It's not.
You're going to kick out citizens who, the children of citizens who are married to someone undocumented, so they can, like, if you want to stay with your kids, you got to leave the country with them.
A tough choice for the government. It's a tough choice for the family, because people say, well, somebody asked Tom Homan, who has been put in charge of this whole operation.
Yeah, this is what he's talking about, by the way.
Asked Tom Homan, well, how do you avoid the problem of separating families in the deportation process? And Tom Homan was like, well, families can be deported together. So by and large,
no, they can't. You cannot deport a U.S. citizen. That person would have to willingly leave the country. They would have to flee their own country to be with their children because their partner is undocumented. If that would be the choice. You cannot deport a U.S. citizen, okay? Full stop. That's not deportation. That's expelling someone and I guess ending their citizenship without any promise of citizenship where they're going.
Large, if you have, let's say, for example, someone here who is an American citizen, but their parents or their child is not, obviously, in reality, only the lawbreaker should be deported.
Obviously. But if a minor child is an American citizen because they were born here, I guess what we're ultimately going to have to do is we're going to have to get rid of anchor babies. We're going to have to get rid of sorry, somebody was asking me who made the map. The map I was showing you was from the migration policy .org. Here, I'll copy this real quick and I'll paste it into the chat so you guys can have it there if you want to look at that. And then the other one was from brilliantmaps.com. They just made this. I'm not quite sure. Based on 2021 estimates, figures, rounded, source, Pew Research Center, tabulation of data from the U.S. Census Bureau. That's what this one was. And that's on Brilliant Maps on here. I'll copy that one and give you that one as well, guys. Boink. And we'll post that in the description below. Yeah. Okay.
But if the parent says, I can't obviously deport my kid, I've got to go too. Well, you can go too. That's actually your choice. Right.
Or be separated from your blood relative that is your child. I mean, hey, you guys, look, you're the pro-family party.
And similarly, vice versa. If you've got a parent who is a U.S. citizen somehow, but the child is not, no.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
One's talking about forcing the child to be deported by themselves. The parent is welcome to go with them. The lawbreaker.
That, by the way, that's how his video ends. It just stops right there.
No one's talking about forcing the child to be deported by themselves. The parent is welcome to go with them.
They're welcome to, but what if they can't? What if they're in the hospital? What if they require medical treatment, where they're going through a cancer treatment? Let me just run you through that shit. And then, do you think Homan's going to go, okay, we'll wait until you're done with your cancer treatment before we kick your fucking kid out of the country? Good Lord.